afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Roadrunner from straight out of Vegas, and I look forward to giving you another live podcast. And it's all about freedom. That's what life is all about: is freedom. If you can't live underneath the freedom flag, which is the American flag, then you go downhill. Life goes downhill. It's that simple. That's why people are so excited in Venezuela that Trump came in there and took care of that dictator Maduro and kicked his ass out, kidnapped him, took him back to New York City. I don't really like things that are going on in New York City, especially Mondani. Zola Mondani. He's unhappy that Maduro was kidnapped. Of course, he was a socialist, so why would he be on Trump's side? He can kiss Trump's ass all he wants, but I can guarantee you the backstabbing will begin, because Zola Mondani is a backstabber. He's backstabbing the American people right now, because he's going to lie his ass off to you and to the people in New York City and give them false promises, and that's exactly what he's all about. He's a punk. He never made a living in his lifetime, lived underneath his parents' roof. He has no clue about business, and he's not going to run the government properly. He doesn't know how to manage anything. He can't manage wiping his own ass, let alone run the biggest city in America, New York City. 8.5 million people in the city of Manhattan. It is huge. I mean, he's got no shot. And his choir, Bernie Sanders and his ruffle-headed wife, and Ocasio-Cortez can definitely all kiss my ass, because they know nothing about freedom. They want to knock us down in the dirt and live like kings and queens, and that's basically all they're about. They're just they want to live the good life, and they want to tell everybody else, you've got to go without, you've got to do this, you got to do that. It's all bullshit. It's a big lie. That's all socialism is a big lie. It's caused more hardship throughout the world and more deaths throughout the world than you can imagine. 100 million people have died due to socialism in the last century. That's correct. 100 million people or more. So, again, get the old-time movie Dr. Zhivago with Omar Sharif and Julie Christie, and watch one of the greatest epic movies, old-time movies you'll ever see in your lifetime. They even made a Dr. Zhivago 2, the second sequel to it, but it's not nearly as good as the first movie. The first movie is nostalgic. Again, I saw that when I was 10 years old. What an influence that put on me. I knew nothing about socialism. I just knew how people were suffering, and I had to learn later on in life the evilness of socialism. It's just incredibly bad. Just a stem of Marxism, that's all. It's a branch off the tree. And all these Marxists want to do, they want to control everything. They're going to go after the Jewish people and create anti-Semitism. And then after they wipe out the Jew race or try to control everything about the Jewish race in America, then they're going to go after all the other races. So the Jewish race just happens to be the first. So watch out. The more leaders like Zolan Mondani, the worse off we are. We've got a new leader new mayor in Seattle that's in her baby closet in life also, so she knows nothing about real life and what the capitalist society, which is America, really thrives on. And we are a capitalist country. We're capitalistic all the way, and we need to remain that way. We need to remain hard and just give them the hardness that they deserve to have, because this woke culture is slowly going to ooze on in and take over it as best they can. That's the way they are. That's the way all these Democratic activists are. The politicians are the worst. They create hatred in America. They're trying to encumber the people to try to control ICE through their protests and do anything they can to knock down ICE, like say, okay, you're not allowed to wear a mask. We don't want you wearing a mask. Well, what happened like several years ago during COVID when we were all forced to wear masks? So they tried to force all of us to wear masks, but Idaho, again, was the first state that ever revolted, and they just quit wearing their masks almost immediately after COVID came out. I love Idaho. I think Idaho is it's the hardest core state in America as far as like a conservative environment. There's no state like it. Montana doesn't even come close. Wyoming doesn't come close. Idaho is number one when it comes to hardcore Republican environment. And can you imagine Ocasio-Cortez going out there and milking cows and living on a farm and living on a dairy farm? Can you imagine her doing that? She wouldn't do it. I mean, it would be an impossibility. I mean, she's too good to milk cows. The only thing she wants milked is she wants her redhead boyfriend to milk her breast to give her the sensations that she deserves to have, because I can guarantee she wears the pants in that relationship. There's a weak-minded person. It has to be a weak-minded person to be around somebody like her, because there's no way that he could possibly be the man and be the controller in that relationship. An impossibility. Just like Michelle Obama is the controller in her relationship with Barack Obama. She wears the pants in that family also. So more power to Michelle. But she's never going to run. She's going to never run for president because we all know that she's a man, and that's just the way it is. I mean, if you like, I didn't write it in my book. I just wanted to stay away from writing the truth in my book. But Michelle Obama is like guaranteed, like a different kind of lover behind closed doors. And Barack Obama is gay, so there you go. It makes a good couple. Okay? Maybe he enjoys that kind of sex. So that's what's up with that. Other than that, I don't want to talk about Michelle because actually I think she's a nice person. I think that she's just a little bit on the stupid side, and she doesn't want to come around and be an open thinker. She's a bigot. That's just the way it is. That's the way all Democrats are. They're bigots. They're bigots at their best. They want to knock everything down and claim that they do everything right. And if you don't agree with them, then you're a fucking racist. That's what they call you. They call you a racist if you don't believe in what they believe in. So that's their greatest statement to make. If you ever go against anything they try to implement on society, that's just the way it is. So that racist bullshit's all over with. It's a thing in the past. American public is wised up to that bullshit. So lots of luck with that in the future. You've got Akeem Jeffries. You've got Cory Booker, two of the greatest Democratic activists in Washington, D.C. Akeem Jeffries is the minority leader of the House. Have you ever heard him say anything good about the Republicans or anything they're doing? He knocks everything that they do. He completely takes the opposite side of the fence because it's his only way. It's the only way the Democrats can do it. They have to knock everything if the Republicans want. That's just the way they are. Even if something good's done, they're going to knock it. It doesn't matter. Because they don't represent the American people. They don't care about the American people, what they want. They have their own wants and desires. And that's to treat newcomers, the illegal immigrants, better than the citizens, better than existing citizens that have lived in America and watched 22 million people flood our borders for the past 4 years. And that's exactly why they can never be reelected in office. And anybody that would vote for a Democratic president, I can guarantee you that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to knock down all the agenda that Trump is completing, and they're going to knock it in the dirt, and they're going to go for the same game plan they did before. So I am very hopeful that a Democrat is never president of the United States anytime now or in the future, like in 2028. We need to go keep rolling with that agenda that Trump's incorporating, because he is protecting America. He is protecting our best interests. And can you imagine Biden? Like, he had 4 years to go after Maduro, but he didn't do shit because he's a socialist thinker. Well, how could he go after another socialist? Biden is a dictator, indirect dictator also, and any Democratic activist wants to take our freedoms away and our freedom of speech, because they call it misinformation when we disagree with anything they say, any of their agenda. This idiot, Hunter Biden, he even believes he's going to run for office someday. What a sicko he is. And the reason why I was able to stay sharper than Hunter is because I smoked like a chipmunk. He smoked boulders. That's why he got burned out really quickly at his age, smoking crack. I was actually a chipmunk for 10 years on crack, but I didn't smoke much. I just would take a little kibble there and put it in my pipe and sit there frozen in my seat, watch sex tapes or whatever it may be to enjoy my high. But anytime I partied around a woman that liked to smoke, if they wanted to smoke all that shit up, and it was all about smoking that shit. So I learned real quickly that if I was going to be a smoker, I had to smoke it on my own, and that's exactly what I did. So I'm not happy to say that I was a crackhead. I'm not happy at all to say that. But honesty pays off. If I can tell you my opposite side of the fence as far as how I fucked up in my past, and I can also make you believe what I think in the future and what I think the future should be, because if I come across as like a picturesque a book writer, which has ghostwriters write their book, that's what a picturesque book writer does. They, like a newscaster, they write these books and they say, oh, he just wrote a bestseller. They introduce him for writing a bestseller. Well, he didn't write a bestseller because he's a great writer, he or she. The book did not become a bestseller because they're a great writer. The book became a bestseller because they were backed by a publishing house that marketed their product, and they sold the book for a super cheap price, and they were able to get more copies out there, and they had a huge market to sell it to, because when a newscaster gets on TV, he has a natural-born market. I mean, any one of these newscasters, and all of them write books. Think about it. I don't know how many people on CNN write books, because anything they write, I mean, they don't have the mentality to even double tie their shoes. I learned how to double tie my shoes so the shoelace wouldn't come undone. Well, that's self-taught. First book out listed is Beehive Golden Pond in East Wendover, Utah. Wendover's actually a border town, so it's in 2 states, this small city of 6,000 people, about 90% Spanish people. What a beautiful town this is. That's Beehive Golden Pond on 479 Wendover Boulevard in Wendover, Utah. Buy a book there and get the free hat along with any book purchase. To purchase my book, go to www.theroadrunnerpodcast.com, and I'll throw in that free hat with any book purchase. My title, The Roadrunner in the Yellow Zone, is the greatest title ever created. Without the sun and the moon feeding off each other, there is no life on Earth. I picked up a lot of secrets as I grew up, and I learned that to never ever wear a headset when I walked down the street so that I couldn't hear the cars coming by. Well, a lot of people die from getting hit by a car because they're wearing a headset, so they've lost the greatest sense, besides eyesight for a human. Hearing is your next greatest sense. we don't rely on smell as much as an animal. Smelling is an animal's number one sense. They can't see as good as we can. They can't see for a long distance, and they visualize things a different color. They're not. They don't have the same chemistry in their eye as we do. So they naturally, an animal cannot see that far away. Even a wild animal can't see that far away. And the ones that can, they were given by nature this greater attribute to be able to see more vividly. In the ocean, a shark never sleeps. Never sleeps in the ocean. Stays awake constantly stays awake. A dolphin has to sleep, and all other fish sleep, but a shark doesn't sleep. So a shark is eating other fish while they're sleeping. That's how a shark stays alive, and that's how they predominate in numbers, because this number one attribute they have, they never sleep, and that's how they kill a lot of other fish while the other fish are sleeping. Well, a dolphin was given a great gift from God in nature's natural force. A dolphin can sleep with one eye open and one eye closed. So the reason why they can do this is because half of their brain is awake and the other half of their brain is sleeping. Amazing. This is God's gift. And this is why dolphins can kill a shark, and a shark can't kill a dolphin, because a dolphin will see the sharks coming after it while it's laying there dormant sleeping, and a dolphin will get out of the way of the shark attacking it. And a dolphin can kill a shark by just ramming it in the gut, and it suffocates the shark, and they fall to the bottom of the ocean, and then all the other fish feed upon that dead shark, which is a great thing for nature, because if dolphins couldn't kill sharks, it would be amazing how high the shark numbers would be in the ocean, because they're already rising in numbers. They're becoming more bold and more courageous at coming to shore and biting people, and coming close to where people are wading in the ocean. They're becoming much more bold than they used to in the past. And I don't even want to learn how to scuba dive. I'm not a fish. I don't want to act like a fish. I have a hard time clearing my ears when I scuba dived anyway. When I got certified under a NAUI certification, I got certified when I was 20 years old at Lake Mead. Believe it or not, at Lake Mead. That's where I came down for my certification when I was trained in the NAUI class. Up in Logan, Utah, in Cache Valley. And it wasn't the cold water that bothered me so bad. It was going down and clearing my ears and thinking in the back of my mind, I'm going to go down in the ocean and I'm going to swim amongst these fish and maybe run into an eel down in the ocean or a shark. And I'm going to try to act like a fish and slowly come up and come up correctly to where my lungs don't burst. There's too many things to think about when you're scuba diving. I didn't want anything to do with it after I was certified at the age of 20. I never scuba dived again. But I wanted to prove to my brothers that I could get the certification. And if my brothers had had any character at all and invited me on a scuba diving trip after I did get certified, my two older brothers, Jim, 3 years older than me, or Jerry, 6 years older than me, would have invited me on a scuba diving trip. Maybe I would have continued with it. But my 13-year-old brother actually went down to my certification down at Lake Mead. In fact, he took me out to the casinos that night, and I was still underage. I wasn't legally able to drink, but I still drank, and I remember drinking the whiskey sours and eating the shrimp cocktails, and I ate one too many shrimp cocktails, and I threw it all back up. So I was sick the night before, got sick the night before my certification, the next day at Lake Mead. And but I still passed the test. But I can remember being down in the bottom of the lake, and Neil, my instructor, have me take my face mask off and then put it back on and clear my face mask. They teach you how to do that. That's one of the parts of the test you have to pass. And I remember almost panicking and wanting to swim up to the surface. And I remember him looking at me and making sure I didn't do that. And I caught myself and checked myself and cleared my mask and ultimately passed the certification. But I can only say this. Scuba diving is not a normal thing. It's not a normal thing. And I like being on the surface of the earth. I don't even want to learn how to fly a plane. I just want to be on the ground. And I'm not searching to climb to the tallest mountain peak and say, okay, I climb to the top. Because I think beneath the mountain peak is beauty also. So I don't have to climb to the top of a mountain to enjoy nature. I just want to relax and enjoy myself and relax, have a good nature hike and natural hike through nature and enjoy it. Maybe even have sex along the way. Who knows? I mean, I just enjoy nature that way. I wasn't a fly fisherman fishing. I never learned how to fly fish. I learned how to fish with worms. I was taught by my father how to hunt for night crawlers the night before and put them in the worm box and then go fishing the next day. So I always learned how to fish with worms. And that's how I always baited my hook, with worms. I never got used to baiting my hook any other way. So that's how I grew up, and that's how I was raised. I was raised in a mellow upbringing, not a hardcore sportsman. My father wasn't, but he was an avid hunter and took me deer hunting every year. In fact, that's where I learned how to play poker during the deer hunt. And my father was a good poker player. He always got the chips that night before the deer hunt. Early in the morning, would start the next morning at, say, like 5 o'clock. We're up and about and crossing that river at daybreak. And I remember one of the scariest things when I was a kid, one of the things I always worried about when I was a kid was crossing the logs along the river and not falling in the river. But I was a good athlete, and I never did fall in the river, but I was always worried about that because I knew if I fell in the river that I was going to be like freezing cold walking up the mountain deer hunting until we got to the sheep herders monument where we always stood. It seemed like for several years that's where we always stood, at the sheep herders monument up on top of a mountain peak, and it wasn't the highest mountain in the forest. But it was like there in the center to where you had a very, very good view of a deer coming up through the small canyons, trying to go above you or around you or wherever. And that's where we always stood, and that's where we always shot our deer. I never shot a deer. I never killed a deer once in my life, but I watched them get killed, and I loved eating deer meat. So I enjoyed the deer hunt, and about the only thing I killed was like a wild quail. 2 years in a row, I hit a wild quail with a rock, and we ate the quail that night. And boy, talk about a delicacy. That was a delicacy that was much enjoyed. So I never carried a gun during the deer hunt with my father in my presence. I went deer hunting like another year later on, one time, and I remember seeing a buck, and I froze, and I made too much noise with the rifle, and the buck just ran off, and that was it. And I'm glad that buck got away, because I really didn't want to kill that deer that bad anyway. And I was taught that killing a doe was the best way to shoot a deer, because for every buck, there's like 30 doe. So killing a buck actually kills a herd worse than killing a doe. And if you're killing a deer for the real reason, you should kill it for the meat, just like the Indians killed the deer. They didn't kill the deer for the horns, although they kept the horns for certain reasons and the rituals, Indian rituals, or out of respect. for the animal. That's how they kept the horns. But they didn't keep the horns to show them off like we do, or like white Americans do, like in the modern days. Like we kill a buck, and people like the deer hunters would like to steal the buck, put the horns outside the trunk, show it off if they kill the buck when they drive down the canyon or down Parley's Canyon down to Salt Lake City, Utah. So you'd see the buck horns laying out the edge of the trunk, and that's how they would show off that they killed a buck. But the way I grew up, my family always shot does, very rarely shot a buck. And my brothers, older brothers, and my father killed the deer for the meat. And I grew up on butterfly steaks. Some of the best protein and meat there is deer meat or elk meat. Never did my family ever kill an elk. We never went elk hunting, just deer hunting. But I remember every year looking forward to the deer hunt and how beautiful that mountain was and how beautiful nature was while you're walking up with the changing leaves on the way up to the Sheepherder's Monument, and how beautiful it was. Because there's no more beautiful time in the mountains than the fall. Fall is by far the most beautiful time to be in the mountains in nature and enjoying it. Getting back to the Democratic activists, the politicians, the way they vote consistently and they join all together like bees in a beehive. It doesn't matter if it's they all agree. They just agree as a whole. They always vote together. They always stick together. That's one thing about the Democrats you can always count on, is they're always going to vote Democratic and always for Democratic agenda. And it's all socialist agenda. They want to spend the money and waste the money, and they're so wasteful. Like this Tim Walz from New York. What a joke. Here's a guy who knew they were stealing. Somalians were stealing money and embezzling money from the taxpayers, embezzling millions and millions of dollars, and added up to billions of dollars, like $9 billion they embezzled, and spent our money like it was nothing, like it was chalk feed, like Biden had the money printed up when he caused inflation to go up, and just kept printing more and more money and spending more and more money. And it's a joke. I mean, Waltz is an absolute asshole, the way he sits there and puts all the blame on Republicans or tries to put the blame on Trump. It's just the way they are. They have to lie their asses off to be in the position they are. They have to lie to the American people. They have to lie on the news. They cannot tell the truth because they are not truthful people. They don't have the character to tell the truth. That's why they're Democratic politicians. That's why they're in the Democratic Party. This is what they're the best at: lying and knocking everything down, whether it's good for the American public or not. They're going to knock it down in the dirt. That's their agenda. That's how they do it. That's what Cory Booker does. Talks his ass off and just keeps on talking and talking and talking, and wants to be the longest talker there is in the Senate. He's a joke. And Hakeem Jeffries, another guy, just talks his bullshit and wants to talk and knock down anything positive. He's going to knock it down in the dirt. These Democrats are the worst of all. They're the worst spenders of money. They have their hand out more than the Republicans, and they will take from any donor that gives them the money. They don't care who it is. They do not care. All the way to Bernie Sanders, who received $2 million in donations from Big Pharma in the last decade. Elizabeth Warren received $8.5 million. I take it back, not $8.5 million, $850,000 in 2024 from Big Pharma. Received $850,000 in donations from Big Pharma. Do you think they're going to vote against what Big Pharma wants and what Big Pharma wants to incorporate in Washington, D.C.? which is to escalate their revenue. That's exactly what Big Pharma does. That's why they donate money to politicians. That's exactly why they give their money away. Donating is wanting something in return. That's exactly what the game is. And the politicians always give them something in return. That's why Viagra and Cialis is required by prescription, so they can jack it up in price, and Viagra and Cialis can make a higher revenue. They're actually interested in a higher revenue than really giving the public what they want. Viagra and Cialis could create a sex capsule and put their own label on it and sell it over the counter without selling it by prescription, and allow the American people to buy it over the counter, just like they're able to buy sex capsules over the counter. And they could rule in that market because their product, their name would give consistency to the product. The name is so valuable when a product is sold. And people identify with the blister pack or a picture on the blister pack, but they identify more strongly to the name. And that's why my Kinky Kong was the number one seller. Not because it had the ape on the blister pack, because of the name. Because King Kong rules, especially in New York City, and that's why I believe that Kinky Kong is the duplicate Kinky Kongs are selling in New York City. If they're not, they will be in the future, while the government sits on its ass and looks and goes after me and targets me. That's what they did. They targeted me. They didn't go after other distributorships. They went after me because I was a specialist and I had the best quality sex capsule in the world. And must I also mention that my sex capsule worked more quickly than other sex capsules that have fillers inside of them, because the fillers negate the ability for that sex capsule to work. It takes away its strength, and it also takes away its longevity. A sex capsule doesn't last as long as my sex capsules lasted. With my labels lasted longer because they had no fillers inside. Just like watering down the liquor, liquor is going to taste better later on, also, or it's going to be stronger, and the drinker, even if it's an alcoholic, is not going to want to drink watered down liquor. Now, I don't recommend becoming an alcoholic because you're going to die from liver disease. So alcohol is definitely not healthy, but my sex capsules were healthy. They're the healthiest, most heart-friendly vitamin in the world, the best sex capsule in the world, and they shut me down. They shut me down because I had the healthiest sex capsule in the world, in America, in 3 states in America. There's no way that Dula could have enough capsules shipped to me from India the way they were being shipped, and ship them to America so that receivers could receive them. There's no way that would happen. There's no way that could happen. That's why I only sold in 3 states, and I was at the optimum value as far as like my market goes. My company was at its height when they came after me, when they raided my storage units in my houses. So they knocked me out of the box and left every other distributorship alone, like it meant nothing. So they targeted me for 2 reasons. Either because Jason Frierson, the Democratic activist, and was the current DA of Las Vegas at that time, targeted me for that reason, because A, I was a Republican and a strong Trump supporter, and let everybody know that I sold sex capsules to him. I told everybody that I sold sex capsules to, what they were. I didn't lie about anything. I didn't lie to anybody. I told them the truth. The packaging could not put the ingredients. There's no way the ingredients can be put on the packaging because the stores won't carry them, and they can't carry them because now they're going to get raided. And that's why they don't raid stores. It's because the stores act innocent, like, oh, they didn't know what they were selling. That's their game. The stores have no loyalty as far as that goes. They just want to sell high profit merchandise and make their profit. And then the second I got knocked out of the box, now they all start carrying the duplicates. They don't care about me. They never did. I was offering them a product, a top quality product that the public wanted. The public sold my pills to the stores, sold my capsules to the stores. The public demanded my capsules in those stores. because they came back and bought them on a regular basis because they wanted that top quality sex capsule every time they came in to buy it. So that's why they identified with whatever label I came out with. And I had 5 male labels, and I had 1 female label, my Kinky Pink. My Kinky Calm was my number 1 seller, and my Kinky Pink was a great name because it should be taken for sex. And Vegas is a great town. Why not give it a bold name? So I gave it a bold name, Kinky Pink, with a stripper on a pole, like hanging onto a pole. That's the picture of my Kinky Pink blister pack. And I originally called it Naovi, which was a terrible marketing name. Marketing names need to identify with the product itself and what its use is and what it's used for. That's what great marketing names do. When you hear the name P.F. Chang's Chinese restaurant, great Chinese restaurant as far as I'm concerned, it's consistent. You can get consistent, good food, good quality food for not too high of a price. It's a moderate priced restaurant. You can get good quality food consistently at any P.F. Chang's throughout America. And that name rings a bell because you know it's good Chinese food. It's a great marketing name. So this is a great marketed restaurant with a great marketing name. And I can remember going to P.F. Chang's not too far away from where the Utah Jazz played basketball. I'd try to go there and eat before the game started, or try to catch it on time before it closed. If the game ended and I was hungry and I didn't get to eat before the game, I would try to eat there later. But they always close too early. Restaurants always close too early in Utah. They roll up. They close the doors and roll up the sidewalk in Utah. That's why I love Vegas. I was born and raised in Utah, but I'll take Vegas over any city in the world because it's everything opens and it stays open for a long time. My favorite Italian restaurant in Las Vegas is Casa di Amore, where they have a piano player. It's on Topaz and Tropicana. If any of you tourists come into Vegas and you want to take a ride a cab, go to Casa di Amore. Free, like a half price on wine bottles on Mondays. Monday's a crowded night. And the restaurant stays open late. You can go in there and eat a good dinner at like midnight. It's a late night restaurant. It doesn't open until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon and stays open late at night. And they've got a beautiful bar area. They can serve out a lot of drinks, and people have a good time, and they love drinking wine, and they love listening to the piano music and eating good Italian food at a moderate price that's not too high also. But, of course, the best Italian restaurant in America is Basilico's in Huntington Beach. Now, I've only eaten there a few times, but I heard about it from a poker player down in San Diego. He told me about it, and I went up there and ate. The same time I adopted my dog, Sky, at the Huntington Beach Animal Shelter. So I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Ate the best Italian food in America and adopted my new 4-legged friend, my new dog, Sky, and got his dog spelled backwards. So I always felt closer to God whenever I was around my dog in the past. And I feel the same way with my dog, Sky. In fact, I took my dog to the dog park today, and she ran her ass off. She loves to run. I don't have to take her there for a long time. She'll get her exercise in 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, and she's worn out. She's ready to go rest up. In fact, one time I took her to the dog park, and her dog played with her so hard. It was younger than her. Sky's only 3 years old, not quite 3. And this dog was like a little over a year old, and was a wild play girl or playboy that just had a ton of energy and wore Sky out. And I went to take Sky with me the next day, take her out, because she likes to ride in my car and stick her head out the window and smell nature along the way. And I went to take her out the next day, and she wouldn't get out from underneath the bed. She didn't want to leave. She was so worn out. So I won't take her to the dog park and let her get too worn out now. So, because I always want to take her with me the next day. She actually throws a fit if I leave her. Dogs are like people, they're spoiled. They like to be spoiled. Just like the Democrats like to be spoiled. They like the American public to spoil their ass ass off to where like they're wined and dine, and then the public goes without. The public, their income goes down. The expenses are too high. The Democrats don't care, just as long as they're able to activate their socialist beliefs and encumber the American people with their beliefs. They don't care about the American people. They used to care about the American people like 40 or 50 years ago. They did, but it slowly dwindled away. And I hope that the woke culture goes right down in the cellar where it belongs, and it's buried in the dirt, and bury it good, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the woke culture. I'm tired of people tearing down the statues of our forefathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, whoever it may be. And the Democrats are not going to put their faces on a mountain like we do on the mountain in, what is that, South Dakota or North Dakota, Ivan, where they have the politicians on the mountain. They have a picture of the politicians on the mountain, our old forefathers. They have a picture of them. What is that, South Dakota or North Dakota? What's the name of that city it's in or whatever? The other retail outlet to buy a book is Chevron Gas, Liquor, and Convenience Store on 1301 East Altman Street. There's 2 Chevron stations. Make sure you get the right one. That's Chevron Liquor, Gas, and Convenience Store on 1301 East Altman Street in Ely, Nevada. You'll get the free hat whenever you purchase my book. To purchase my book, go to www.theroadrunnerpodcast.com, and I'll throw in that free hat with any book purchase. My title, The Roadrunner in the Yellow Zone, is the greatest title ever created. Without the sun and the moon feeding off each other, there is no life on Earth. Anyway, just all the nostalgia in America is a beautiful thing, and we need to keep our nostalgia in America, because America is not that old of a country. It's not like Europe. I can remember taking a trip to the Black Forest in Germany and going to Munich and still seeing the bullet holes in the walls of buildings when I was 14 years old. So 1969, they still had remnants of the war, and I can remember seeing huts still up in the trees in the Black Forest, where the snipers would sit and shoot their opposing soldier walking up the trail. Well, thank God it was not just German soldiers that were snipers in that forest. Eventually, the Americans were able to shoot the Germans walking up the trails also. I mean, our soldiers are the best. We always adapted to any war, and we always fought harder than any war because we have more to fight for. And I never joined the service. In fact, I didn't have a family member that joined the service other than my brother was in the National Guard and my father was in the Navy, but my 2 other brothers never joined the service. My father was a Jack Mormon, so he never went on a mission. But my oldest brother went on a mission, and my sister was a part-time missionary in Washington, D.C. And I can remember going back to the church where they had a barbecue or whatever and a get-together, and it was a beautiful moment. My sister was very much into the church. She was very religious. And at that time, I was very proud of her for that, and I still am. But there's nothing I hate worse than a Mormon that tries to act like they're a good Mormon, and they rob somebody like me in the background because they don't think those church members where they go to church at, like my ex-attorney Matt Johnson, who sneaks up to Eden, Utah every weekend and goes to church either in North Logan or Eden, Utah. And someday I'll go up and I'll bust his church, and I'll get up there on the podium and I'll remind everybody in his church what a thief he is. And I'll enjoy that moment because I enjoy going after the jugular mentally going after the jugular of people that went after my jugular mentally and tried to steal my money and get away with it. There's nothing I hate worse than a thief. I was a thief until I was a thief until I became a poker player. Then I quit stealing. I quit beating like those few motels that I beat out of money when I didn't pay the bill, or those 2 or 3 gas stations that I beat out of money when I could pump the gasoline in my car before I had to go and pay for it. That was back in the day. You could actually do that. I mean, sometimes they get robbed because of their own stupidity, and sometimes people get robbed out of their own greed. But I did not get robbed out of greed when I hired my attorneys. I got robbed because I believed in what I was doing, and I wanted to protect my business as much as possible. And I believed in Matt Johnson, and I believed that he was my second best friend in life, my next best friend. But he always knew deep down he was not the friend that I thought he was, because he apprehended this moment and took advantage of it, and got me to sign a phony contract and begin embezzling $150,000 from me. And $30,000 every 2 or 3 months to pay him, it seemed like the smart thing to do, because like I could spread the payments out and still have protection from them, and give my payment plan longevity. And that was my game plan, and I thought I was doing the right thing. But I never would have signed that contract if Matt Johnson hadn't been sitting in the room and watched me do it. So I believed in Matt, and I didn't even bother reading it. I just signed it. I thought, Matt, you're here. Okay, I'll sign the contract. He never gave me any verbal advice. Isn't an attorney supposed to give you verbal advice and represent you and tell you what you're signing? Of course they were heister lawyers. They were the worst heisters that I ever ran into in my lifetime. I never ever got beat out of that kind of money in my lifetime. It had to be 2 lawyers hiding behind the law and thinking they were going to get away with it, because they had me sign a flat rate predatory contract. They targeted me. That's why it was a predatory contract, and they thought they were going to get away with it. But I got news for them. You don't beat the Roadrunner out of money and walk away. That's not how it works. Any more than you can pump fake God. You can momentarily pump fake me, but I can guarantee you I'm going to come back like a lion, and I'm going to come after you one way or the other. I'm going to return the favor that you tried to disfavor me with. That's just I'll go to my grave thinking like that. I'm not intimidated by anybody. I don't care about what people think. I care about what I think, because I believe that I'm doing the right thing. And if I think I'm doing the right thing and I believe that in my heart, I'll fight to the death for what I believe in. I've always felt that way. I'm not fearful of anybody on this planet. Nobody. I've never been fearful of anybody in this planet, because I know that having the heart that I have and the way I grew up and the father that I had, who believed in everything he was doing, taught me well. Believe in what you're doing and don't lie or cheat anybody. Well, I was weak. I was in a tough environment when I was a pool player, so I cheated here or there. I hustled people out of their money in the first place, so I was a pool hustler. That's what I was. I was a pool hustler, and I loved traveling as a pool player. I felt like a bird. I could go northeast, west, or south. I could sleep in. I could get up any time of the day I wanted to. I was in great shape. I didn't have to worry about working out back then. I was like lean, mean, and kind of like a sex machine. I had enjoyable moments as a pool player. Every state I went in, every state I walked across, every state I traveled across, I always found a beautiful woman in that state. I always found her in a bar. Very rarely in a pool hall, but I found one of the most beautiful women that I ever met in my life in a pool hall in Riverside Games in Medford, Oregon. And what a beauty she was. Green-eyed, beautiful woman. Nice, beautiful, natural breasts. Nice ass. Her name was Susan. Beautiful woman. Susan McDonald. I don't mind saying her name, because if she ever hears me talking about her, she's going to love the fact that I think that she was a beautiful, sexy young woman that I met. And I was a little older than her, but I wasn't robbing the cradle. I was not robbing the cradle. I looked young for my age anyway, but I was 30 years old when I met Susan. 30 years old. And Susan was 18. So, well, I've done much worse than that. My wife is half my age, so I've escalated my value as an older man when I go after younger women. I locked it up with my wife for two reasons, because not only am I a sweet talker and a ladies' man, but I'm also a great lover. And I have complete confidence in my talent and ability in bed. I've always been that way. I've always thought that way. That's probably why my older brothers resented me, because I know that I've always enjoyed sex more than they ever enjoyed it. And I'm proud of that, because sex does make the world go round. And there's a lot of beautiful women out there. And just like I said, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It's that simple. God intended everybody to look different, and God gave everybody a different view of what they like. And that's what he gave us as far as nature goes. That's why when you go across the desert and you drive across the desert, the terrain changes constantly. That's what I love about the desert. It changes more than a mountainous environment. It looks more like the mountains. It looks more alike. But the desert constantly changes. And the most beautiful part of Utah is definitely southern Utah. Although I didn't live there, but traveling through southern Utah and all those natural parks, fantastic, awesome. And again, Snow Basin has become my favorite ski resort because I can take my dog up the canyon when I go skiing. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Instead of like the new environmentalists telling you, oh, you can't take your dog up the canyon because it'll piss and it'll end up the urine will end up going in the stream. So we can't allow that. We have to upkeep nature. Well, fuck those regulations. They can kiss my ass with that bullshit. And I ain't got nothing good to say about Solitude, Brighton, Alta, or Snowbird for that exact reason, because they won't allow me to take my dog up the canyon. I have to buy a cabin so I can legally take my dog up there? Are you kidding me? What a joke. One of the most beautiful canyons above Salt Lake is is East Mill Creek Canyon. East Mill Creek Canyon, where when you drive up there, drive up through the canyon, they charge you a fee. You have to pay the fee when you come back down. Sometimes they're not at the guard gate when I come down, because I come down when it's dark, and they're not there to collect my money. So that's a good thing. But paying to drive up a canyon that we've already paid taxes for on the roads, and we've already we pay our taxes right and left. I mean, the West Coast is not the East Coast. The East Coast has been pulling that bullshit for years. When you're driving down the highways or driving over a bridge, they charge you a toll, and they program the people. They program their people very well, very, very, very favorably, in their favor. And the people put up with it because they've been programmed for so many years. They're used to it. It's a way of life. They're not getting away with that on the West Coast. And so don't even try. The West is the best by far in America. And getting back to how these politicians try to rob everybody in Washington, D.C., and they take their donations. Well, think about COVID, okay, when COVID came out in 2018. And in World War II, they had a code called Nuremberg Code, the Nuremberg Code, that was created after World War II because they were using experimentation on human beings, and actually they were dying from it, and they did it to the Jews, along with gassing 6 million Jews. They experimented with Jews because the Germans wanted to create like a super soldier. So they experimented on human beings to anecdote the Germans so they would become greater fighters and be stronger fighters. And people died from this. And after the war, they actually assassinated some of these people that were experimenting on humans because they caused harm to human beings. And here they do the same thing in America. It's not the Nuremberg Code. It's a step below that. And what happened is this is what happened in America when COVID came out. You remember in 2018 when you couldn't buy a roll of toilet paper after COVID came out because like everybody panicked and went in the grocery stores and bought all the toilet paper because they were afraid they wouldn't be able to get any more. And when that happened, people panicked and bought a lot of groceries, and the grocery stores ran out of a lot of items, a lot of merchandise because people panicked. And they had society by the balls. So they just had society. They had society locked in where like the government wanted to control everything, and they wanted to tell society how to act and the people how to act. And they actually coerced us into taking the vaccine shot. And I didn't work for anybody. Nobody was going to coerce me into taking a vaccine shot. There's no way I was going to take a vaccine shot because God gave me an incredible immune system. Why do I want to make my immune system weaker by taking a vaccine? And that's exactly what the vaccine did. It made people's immune system weaker because now they had to depend on the vaccine. And then they lied to the American people and they said, okay, if you take the vaccine, Biden said this. Trump didn't say this, but Biden said this. If you take the vaccine, then you won't get COVID again. Another retail outlet selling my book and free hat is Hoover Dam and Liquor in Boulder City, Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas and outside of Henderson, Nevada, just south of there on the way to Phoenix. So that's 1311 Boulder City Parkway is where they're located. Hoover Dam and Liquor. Go over there to the best little liquor store in the state of Nevada. Hoover Dam Liquor. To purchase my book, go to www.theroadrunnerpodcast.com, and I'll throw in that free hat with any book purchase. My title, The Roadrunner in the Yellow Zone, is the greatest title ever created. Without the sun and the moon feeding off each other, there is no life on Earth. I call him blind as a bat Fauci. Fauci was a lying asshole who said, like, okay, the vaccine broke out from wild animals in the forest. That's who brought the COVID to the Chinese people. Was the wild animals brought the vaccine to people, and that's not true. He was lying his ass off right from the start. He knew it came from a lab, but he continued to lie. Continually lying to the American public. The fake media tried to personify him as a modern day sex symbol. That's how bad the media is. They just want to project Fauci as this 4'10" midget as being a sex symbol. Well, the only sex symbol I can think of that was short was Michael Ladd in the movie Shane. You remember him? I think he was like 5'2", 5'3". I'm not sure, but check it out and see how tall Michael Ladd was in the movie Shane. Michael Ladd, Cheryl Ladd's father. Cheryl Ladd, what a fox she was. Cheryl Ladd, she was in the Charlie's Angels. She was in that TV series Charlie's Angels. That was a good, entertaining series, and she was a beautiful woman. Michael Ladd making that movie Shane, what a movie that was. What an incredible movie that was. What a movie of character. I mean, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I wrote that in my book. And what a great actor he was. That guy stood 6'6". That's how great his character was. He stood 6'6". And that, to me, is like what short people are like in real life that have tremendous character. They stand 6 foot or above. That's just how I feel about them. The way they act, and the way they believe that that they're a strong, charismatic man, and that's what gives them a strong character in life because of the way they act and the way they believe in themselves. So height has nothing to do with anything. If you're born tall, you're lucky. If you're born short, so what? Maybe you're gifted somewhere else. You know, a lot of short people, like they're well hung. So God always rewards us in other ways. It doesn't matter to me. It's just God rewards us in different ways, and that's the beautiful thing about life. Because if you look for your strengths, and you only search for your strengths, and you try to hide your weaknesses, you're going to die a weak man. But if you learn how to overcome your weaknesses or whatever people think they are, and not care about what people think, and think about those weaknesses as your strengths, that's truly what life's about. Because life is like a ladder, walking up a ladder and building your character. That's what life is truly all about. And that's why I wouldn't trade places with anybody. So I'm happy that I was born and raised in Utah, and I had the parents that I had. And I'm glad that I was born last in the family and I was born left-handed, because I probably wouldn't be the black sheep if I hadn't been the only left-hander in my family. The only person in my family that was left-handed was my mother, besides myself. So God bless anybody out there that's left-handed, because it was a right-handed world when I grew up and I went to school, having to take notes in that large leaf binder. Well, that was some bullshit. I mean, it was hard to go to school in the first place. Fighting to take notes and the writing left-handed, and have to work my note-taking and my writing ability over that large metal binder in the notebook, because these idiots could not think of creating a notebook with a small metal binder that wouldn't get in my way of my left hand when I was writing. I mean, how stupid were they? And I'm a kid. I'm not supposed to be the one who thinks of this. This is all about adults being sharp enough to come out with and manufacture a product that benefited a left-hander just like a right-hander. So what? It doesn't matter anymore now, because like it made me stronger later on in life, because I had to learn how to adapt. I can eat ambidextrous. I can eat with either hand. I eat with my left hand or right hand. And if I'm sitting with a woman, like with my wife on my left-hand side, I'm eating with my right hand. If she's on my right side, I'm eating with my left hand. And I've been that way my whole life. I've been able to eat with either hand. I learned how to play tennis with both hands. So, but I couldn't throw a baseball right-handed. I could throw a baseball left-handed. I kicked with my right foot. I didn't kick with my left foot because I'm right-eyed. So my dominant eye is my right eye. I had to learn how to play pool right-handed, but I'm naturally left-handed. So God never intended me to be a great pool player. So fate was right from the beginning when I became a pool player. Why I became a pool player, I'll tell you later on in my chapter, The Farmer's Daughter, that I wrote about, but I'll tell you later on. Let me get back to the script today, because I wander off a little bit, and I don't mean to do that, but I'm a creative thinker, and my mind's wandering right and left, north and south, and I'm trying to get back to the Nuremberg Code about like COVID, how it came out in America, and how the government trying to coerce everybody into taking the vaccine shot, along with Joe Biden, especially Joe Biden. And more people died under Joe Biden's watch than under Trump's watch. And I can also remember that Trump tried to keep people from China from traveling into America. He wanted to ban them from traveling into America. And all the politicians, along with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and everybody else, all the other Democrats gave him a hard time and badmouthed him for it. And he's the only one who instigated shutting the borders down from people from China coming in, people from other countries from coming in, but especially China. So Trump was on top of the game right from the start, because Trump is street smart. He's not completely street smart. I mean, he's way smarter than me about real estate. But on the street, Trump is not smarter than me. But Trump is so much more street smart than any politician. And Trump's a hard man to lie to, because he has that street savvy. So he's a hard politician to lie to. He was easy easier to lie to in his first term, and that's why Comey got the best of him. And I always hated the fact that Trump shook Obama's hand when he got elected in 2016. I hated that because I knew Obama's a backstabbing, weak son of a bitch anyway, so I didn't like that when Trump shook his hand. If you imagine how many people whose hands you shook and they fucked you over in your lifetime. Imagine that. Think about that. I mean, I'm telling you the truth, a lot. Okay, a lot of people have fucked me over in my lifetime when I shook their hand. Matt Johnson is especially the king of the prairie when it comes to that. When it comes to shaking a man's hand, Matt Johnson shook my hand for the very last time. You'll never, ever, ever, ever be able to make a comeback with me, no matter what he does. Even if I get my money back in district court, Matt Johnson will always go down in a piece of shit. Go down as a piece of shit to the Roadrunner, always. Along with his subordinate attorney, Russ Gubler, who overcharged me on my wife's visa. Charged me $10,000 and didn't get past the first stage on my wife's visa. Russ Gubler. What a whore lawyer he is also. And let's not forget Mike Samt. But Mike Samt, I never would have met him if Matt Johnson hadn't introduced me to him. So most of the blame is on Matt Johnson. Mike Samt is a thief. Russ Gubler is a thief. And Matt Johnson knows they're both thieves, along with himself, the ex-Mormon bishop from Eden, Utah. Getting back to the monument where they had our forefathers carved into the rock in the mountaintop, or in the mountains in South Dakota. That's Keystone. Keystone is the closest town to that. Keystone, a good name. And if you don't go to Keystone, South Dakota, then go all the way down through Florida and go to the Florida Keys. And you'll see the most beautiful sunset you'll ever see in your lifetime that falls right down into the ocean. Awesome. Incredible. That's when I saw the first person that had AIDS when I was in Key West, Florida, and I had a job as a barback. And I didn't take the job because I got athlete's foot. Using the public shower, and I got athlete's foot, and I got such a bad case of athlete's foot that I left Key West, Florida. That's when my brother promised me a good job helping to build my family cabin. And he knew I had a dog, a beautiful border collie, Australian Shepherd, I called Tano, that had one gray eye and one brown eye. And I told him, I says, I take my dog back there. I'm with my dog. He knew I had a dog. Then when I got back to help build the cabin, they pulled the bullshit on me and said, oh, you can't take the dog up in my car. You can't take your dog up in my car. You're going to shed in my car. You can't do that. And I said, okay, fuck you. And I quit, and I went out on the road with my dog and shot pool again. So I never helped build the cabin. All they had to do was just let me take my dog with me and be up there enjoying nature while I was helping them build the cabin. And, of course, I was like the least skilled worker building the cabin. I'm not a carpenter. I was just like the one doing the labor and helping the carpenters do their work that were like friends of the family. And they pulled that bullshit on me, my brother and my brother, Jim, and 3 years older than me. And the second the horse shit went out, got me to drive all the way back from the Florida Keys. And promised me, okay, you're gonna make $7 an hour, plus you're gonna help build the family cabin. You're gonna be a part of it. It all boiled down to bringing my dog up there, and he wouldn't let me take my dog. He wanted to be an asshole, so I just said, okay, bye-bye. And I left and never helped build the cabin. I ended up selling my share of the cabin later on, and I'll tell you a unique story about that also, and why they wouldn't give me a key to the cabin. But I've got more important things to talk about. So it's Keystone, South Dakota, to go see our forefathers carved in the rock. Bring a little nostalgia back into your life and say all that wokeism, bury it. It's over with. We want nostalgia in America. We respect, like our forefathers. We want to look at those statues. We want our culture. We don't want you tearing down our culture, so we'll forget about it. And that's what the Democratic activists want to do. They want to tear everything down, so we forget about our past culture. Our great forefathers, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, name it. Okay, I'm not I don't memorize names. I just think about the important things, such as whatever name you want to remember. Whatever name's important to you, that's the most important thing. And the greatest forefather we have in the future is Trump. I mean, that's what I like about Trump. I mean, he sticks it to him now. He doesn't care about what they think anymore. He used to care when he first got elected in 2016. He wanted to be friends with everybody. You can't be friends with everybody. You have to be who you are. And Trump is showing them who the real hard ass is, and that's what I love about it. He just he doesn't care anymore what they think. And what's that abbreviation you gave me, Ivan? What's that abbreviation you gave me? Write that down for me. A beautiful abbreviation Trump gave. But in the meantime, I just love how he put Trump and Kennedy Center on there. On the Kennedy Center, he put Trump and Kennedy Center. Too long they've had a Democrat name up there like they own the shit. They own Washington, D.C. Well, it's a fucking swamp. So there is no ownership. The American people own Washington, D.C. So Trump putting his name on the Kennedy Center, I love it. God bless you, Trump. Keep on sticking it to them because they deserve every bit of it. FAFO. Take your car. The Zach Calls Urban Auto Works on 1010 North Stephanie Street, Suite 1A. I can guarantee it'll be the best mechanical work that will ever be done on your car. It's a personalized job for them. It's not a game of numbers. They're conscientious on anything they do. And that includes oil changes, fluid flushes, alignments, brakes. Any kind of diagnostic work that needs to be done, they specialize in, and they do all types of engine work, top of the line. Take your car to Zach Hall's Urban Auto Works on 1010 North Stephanie Street, Suite 1A in Henderson, Nevada, straight out of Vegas. Anywhere in Las Vegas you live, take your car there. You can't go wrong. You can't miss. To purchase my book, go to www.theroadrunnerpodcast.com, and I'll throw in that free hat with any book purchase. My title, The Roadrunner in the Yellow Zone, is the greatest title ever created. Without the sun and the moon feeding off each other, there is no life on Earth. I just noticed this today, and I love it. I don't look at the news and look at YouTube and everything like that. I don't care about looking at all that bullshit. I just want to relax and relish off my book and what I wrote, because I won't step ahead of them anyway as far as what I wrote. I wrote my book and published it in 2023, so everything I wrote about is nostalgic and it's true, because I already knew that everything I wrote about would come out later on. I wrote about how bad fentanyl was and what a danger it is to American society. And you go up in a town like in Utah, like Salt Lake City, Utah, where I can name neighborhoods, certain areas, like 2 or 3 block areas that are totally overtaken by fentanyl, to where everybody hanging out in the area is hooked on fentanyl in Salt Lake City, Utah, of all places. So imagine how bad it is in other cities throughout America. Salt Lake City has got certain blocks in certain areas, like within a mile, where everybody's hooked on the drug fentanyl, how brutal it is, and how much worse it is in other cities throughout America. I mean, amazing. Okay, the FAFO stands for Fuck Around and Find Out. That's his new post on social media, right, Ivan? Beautiful thing. Fuck around and find out. I love it. Keep on sticking it to him, Trump. You're the greatest. Let's get back to the Nuremberg Code and how they they did the same thing in Washington, D.C. The politicians backed the big pharma companies and received their donation from Big Pharma, and just like they received their donations from Big Pharma before the election or whenever they can get the money from Big Pharma. 98% of all politicians have received donations from Big Pharma. Incredible. So it's all the Democrats. You can consider all the Democrats are on the take. And all the Republicans, nearly every Republican was on the take when it comes to Big Pharma. So they're the ones that incorporated Viagra and Cialis being required by prescription. Well, they did the same thing with COVID. They talked to the American public and coerced the American public into taking the vaccine shot. They didn't get me because I'm not fucking with what God gave me. God gave me the greatest immune system of any human being can have. I've never been sick a day in my life. Never been sick a day in my life. Never spent a day in the hospital. 70 years old. Why would I want to take a COVID shot? I'm not worried. I wasn't scared about a vaccine shot. Well, I'm not afraid of COVID. Never was afraid of COVID. I don't have any weak organs in my body. And that's all the way to my dick. So there you go. I just say no COVID shot for me, and I never took one, and I refused to take one. The Raiders Stadium tried to force its any guests that went into the Raiders game, they had to show a vaccine card. And imagine how the season ticket holders felt like me when I paid my lease fee, my 30-year lease fee, and had to pay my $3,900 per seat, which is the cheap seats up at the top on the 38-yard line. Not bad. I mean, I'm on the visitors' side. They need some strong fans on the visitors' side, not just on the home side. So I like being on the visitors' side because now you're sitting with all the fans from out of town or rooting for the other team. So I like that because I like adversity. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm like Charlie Kirk. I like adversity. I like to stand up for what I believe in and have a little argument against somebody who believes in what they believe in. That's why Charlie Kirk was the best. God bless Charlie Kirk. He was one of the greatest fighters in modern-day society, and he's one of the reasons why Trump got elected. If anybody was helpful for Trump getting elected, or J.D. Vance becoming the vice president of the United States, and even J.D. Vance admits it, it's all because of Charlie Kirk. So God bless Charlie Kirk. I think you were the greatest, and I really didn't know as much about you as I do now. But what a beautiful wife. I mean, what a beautiful wife he had. And she's still his wife to this day. She's still by his side. And I don't have the character she does. She forgave the guy that shot him. Well, I'm not forgiving that way. I'm more like Moses. I'm not like Jesus Christ. I'm more like Moses. Even though we're supposed to forgive people for their misdoings, I have a hard time forgiving somebody, especially when they can't apologize for what they did. So, you know who I'm talking about. I've talked about him in the past, but I'll just drop it. Anybody who didn't hear that, I'll maybe tell the story again someday. But getting back to COVID and how they coerced the American public into taking the COVID shot, the vaccine shot, and it's just incredible, like what they did. The government forced people to take the shot, otherwise they lost their job. The military kicked people out of the military for not taking the shot. And Trump actually gave them reimbursement checks after he was elected in 2024. Biden didn't care about that. Biden didn't care about anything but creating income for a big pharma. So all the vaccines that came out in the past, Biden continually lied about this and that, and telling the public how if you take this first vaccine shot, you're not going to get COVID anymore. First they said that about the mask, along with Anthony Fauci. And Anthony Fauci, if anybody deserves the death penalty, it's Anthony Fauci. Imagine how many people, millions of people died because of Anthony Fauci. that continually lied and continues to lie about his misdoings from the past. So he definitely hasn't repented of his sins. He hasn't. You got to tell the truth to repent. If you don't tell the truth, there is no repentance. That's the stone cold truth. You have to tell the truth to repent. Now, people like Catholics, they can repent and then they can turn around later on and they can repent for the same sin. I don't agree with that. That's one thing I love about the Mormon church. That's the only church I really know about because that's how I grew up. But you're only supposed to be able to repent once for a sin. You're not supposed to be able to repent every other week like a Catholic can. You should only be able to repent once for a sin. Well, I repented for robbing motels or beating a few motels out of money and gas stations out of money, a few more. And I had to become a drug addict to start stealing again because actually when I became a poker player, I quit stealing until I got hooked on crack cocaine and I started selling liquor. I started stealing liquor from, say, Costco or another store, Target, or wherever I could get a nice big bottle of liquor and take it out of the store and then go sell to the drug dealer because the drug dealer would give me a bigger chip if I brought him his favorite liquor. And he liked the fact that he didn't have to go out and buy that liquor and leave his domain. So these politicians are all on the take, Republicans and Democrats. Of course, Democrats are the worst. But when you have 98% of all politicians that have received donations from Big Pharma, that's because Big Pharma wants something in return. And it's all about money. It's always about revenue in the future, about controlling things. And that's what the Democrats want to do. They want power. They want to control everything. And Big Pharma is controlling the Democrats and the Republicans. And that's exactly what happened with the vaccine. The Big Pharma, they'd come out with a vaccine and they'd get the politicians to sway the American people and get the American people to take the vaccine. So they coerce the American people, the politicians, because they're all on the take. And they're greedy. They're money hungry. They want power. That's what politicians want. They all thrive on power. That's why Chuck Schumer can't handle being in the Senate because, like, he's no longer the majority leader. The Democrats don't rule the Senate anymore. The Republicans have a little bit of an edge, and we have to maintain that edge. The Republicans have to maintain that edge. When I say we, I'm a Republican. I'll die a Republican. I was dumb enough to give money to attorneys and give them $150,000, but I never gave money. Never give a dime to the Clintons. I wouldn't even give a dime to Trump because he doesn't need my money. I wanted my speaking talent to help him get elected. I wanted to be able to speak on stage so that I'd become known and my book would sell. That's why I wanted to meet Trump. Of course, I was thinking about myself. I wasn't just thinking about Trump, but I thought I could kill two birds with one stone. That's what the street is trying to do something at the same time and accomplishing two things at once. That's what street savvy is like turning a win into a double win. Win-win. Have you ever heard the saying win-win? Well, that's what a winning plan is. A winning game plan is when you can win and the other person can win. Now you both win, and that's why I'll sell advertising on my podcast. Win-win. If I can make a company more money and more revenue by advertising a product that I believe in, I want that. If I don't believe in it, I'm like Trump. I'm not taking donations from somebody I don't believe in. If I don't believe in the company that I'm advertising for, I'm not advertising for them. I'm nobody's whore. Nobody's whore. If I don't believe in it, I'm not advertising it. But one thing you have to understand, when McDonald's advertises, they're exaggerating. They make their Big Mac or Quarter Pounder or French fries look better than they really are in real life. I know a place in Vegas where the fries are better than any French fries in the world. I try to stay away from eating fries because they're not healthy, but Anytime I eat French fries, I always eat a French fry with fry sauce. Fry sauce was originally created by a company, by a fast food franchise called the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle Drive-In in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I grew up. That's where I used to eat the fry sauce, have the fry sauce, and dip the fries into the fry sauce, and drink a fresh lime. Well, all a fresh lime was 7 Up with the lime squeezed into the 7 Up. It was called a fresh lime, so that was my favorite drink to drink, and I loved Arctic Circle for their fry sauce. In fact, McDonald's and Burger King came out with fry sauce, and they realized that fry sauce was a big expense. Too many people wanted it, so they were giving away too much product and not getting paid for it. So they dumped fry sauce, not because the American public didn't like it. They dumped it. They dumped it because there was no money in it, no money in carrying it. It didn't benefit their revenue at the end of the year. It put them too much in the red, and they didn't have enough in the black. The black is like profit. The red is expense. And that's why I said in my book, I mean, don't let the Democrats have the color blue. Don't rely on the color red as your color, as Republicans, as the Republican Party goes. Still the blue color from the Democrats. They're thieves anyway. It will drive them crazy. Take the blue color, and that's the freedom color. That's the color of the ocean and the sea, and the ocean and the sky. Blue is the color of the ocean and the sky. That's freedom. So the Democrats have the best color, the blue color, but they don't represent freedom. They don't represent democracy. They represent the socialist movement, and they're going to spread that socialist movement throughout America as much as possible. But getting back to the vaccine, it's all about control, trying to control the American public. And I can tell you something else. If a disease comes around in the future to society, anywhere in the world, and especially including in America, if a disease comes into America that's greater than COVID was, that's more dangerous than COVID was, the next thing they're going to try to do is they're going to try to put a computer chip in your wrist, or some kind of way of tracking you, and that's a sign of the devil. That's a sign of the devil. Anytime they can put any kind of a chip inside the human body, inside your body, I can guarantee you that's the mark of the devil. So don't ever accept that from happening. But that's what they're going to try to do. The government's going to try to do something like that to have control over you. If we ever come out with a disease greater than COVID was in the past, I can guarantee you that's coming around the corner, because them coercing us into taking the vaccine shot and lying to us and telling us, like Biden saying, well, you're never going to get COVID again if you take that shot. And Fauci first saying, okay, you should wear a mask, you shouldn't wear a mask, back and forth, like a jackrabbit. That was like Fauci. That's what he was all about. He was like his permission to do that and his advice on doing that was just like a jackrabbit running in the sagebrush. He couldn't make his mind up. He was so busy trying to cover up for his past mistakes and his past deeds, he was always ready, willing, and able to lie to the American public. Anthony Fauci is an evil son of a bitch. And I don't really care what happens to him. I mean, what's done is done. You can't, those lives are not coming back. Those lives of people that lost their lives and died from COVID. And people that died from COVID that were told to take the vaccine shot and they still died and their bodies still got weak. They were lied to by the government. I mean, are we supposed to go back to the Nuremberg Code and enforce that? Well, that's never going to happen. But just remain resolute and do not give in to the federal government trying to coerce you into doing something you don't believe in. It's your body. It's your God-given body. Fight for your body and believe in it, because it's not like a used car. Your body's not like a used car where you can trade it in for another body. You've got your God-given body, and that's the way it is. Enjoy it. learn to thrive off of it, and relish your strengths and your weaknesses, and take the good with the bad, because we are born imperfect. That's why we're human beings, and dogs are born imperfect also. So I just think all dogs are beautiful, and I think that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So please, when you want a dog, go to a kennel and get a dog, whether it be like a Heinz 57 or a purebred, because you're still going to have to spade that dog or neuter that dog when you adopt it from the animal shelter. So you're not going to be able to make money off the puppies. So you're getting a dog for the real reason, and your dog will live longer if you get a dog and don't neuter it or don't spade it. Actually has a less chance of inheriting cancer, or their body is stronger, isn't run down, because when a dog has puppies, they'll have like maybe 3 to 7 puppies at once. I mean, can you imagine a woman having 5 to 7 babies at once? I mean, if a woman has twins, it's a blessing from God. That's just another beautiful thing, because birth is a blessing from God. The greatest blessing there is on earth is birth. So that means all those politicians that want to control the American public and sway the American public and oh, it's okay to have an abortion and this and that. Well, kiss my ass, Omar. And the bitch from hell can kiss my ass. And I love cows, and I don't care if they fart. And I love horses. I think domesticated animals are beautiful, all the way to pigs. We need them all. And we desire eating meat, and we're going to live off meat, and we're going to die on meat. So kiss my ass, all of you, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. God bless all of you anyway. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, this is the Roadrunner, straight out of Vegas. The Roadrunners podcast. Take care. Oh, and one other thing. If you're bored, get a dog. If you're bored in life, get a dog. Just like I said, from an animal shelter. Get a dog from a kennel. And that dog needs you, and that dog's waiting for you. How could I forget to say that?